It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I am your host this morning. I appreciate you joining with us. A lot of you folks are streaming in on our webcast, and we appreciate that. Thank you. You can always join us at America's Voice Now directly on our website, americasvoicenow.org. And if you are so inclined, you may listen to the broadcast on our live streaming video interface there. We start broadcasting at 8 a.m. Central, and you're certainly welcome to join us there on a daily basis. Of course, you can also capture a podcast of our program at Spreaker.com/America's Voice Now. And we encourage you to visit our Facebook and our YouTube channels as well. You can find those by going to Facebook.com/America's Voice Now and YouTube.com/America's Voice Now. Basically, if you remember the phrase America's Voice Now, you can find us in a host of different locations. So we're going to tackle a couple of different topics this morning in reference to what's happening in the world. You know, we do a radio show here daily, and our goal here is to educate, inform, to then motivate grassroots activism, and to activate you to play a part, play a role in your own self-governance. You know, self-governance is a key marker of a society that is capable of self-reliance and self-sustainability. Where we fall today is way beyond that. We are now at a position where the tables have been turned, the pyramid has been flipped upside down, and at this point, government is now ruling us versus us owning and controlling government for our own best interests. That is a tragic and dangerous place for us to be. I bring to you stories and news and information, and then I analyze that to the best of my limited ability. And our goal is to hopefully incite you to go out there, gather enough information to make an informed decision about what's happening in your world. Don't take my word for things. My goal here is simply to open your eyes and bring information to you that the mainstream ministry of propaganda is not giving to you, or at least to take those stories and analyze them and evaluate them in light of a critically thinking perspective that motivates you to seek out more information and then gather enough of that together so that you can make informed decisions. I believe that education is a key component of our survival as a nation. And one of the reasons that we have a problem in our government today is that when we look at what's going on around us, so many folks are completely oblivious. They are either apathetic, they are low information in the sense that lots of folks say, I don't care about politics. It's too divisive. It's too, argumentative. It's too controversial, blah, 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 blah. Well, the truth of the matter is you can ignore politics all you want, but you can't ignore the consequence of avoiding those politics. You see, the reality is that politics affect you. The people who are in power are using their power, their influence, and their money to affect your life. So sitting it out on the sidelines, being a wallflower, refusing to dance, only means that those decisions are being made without your consent and with the absence of your input. And, I had a conversation with a fellow the other day. He asked me to come on and do an interview with him. And I'll broadcast that when we've done it. He's the author of a book, and he kind of focuses in on issues surrounding health. And one of the things that we talked about was how he bridges the concept between good, healthy living or good physical health and the idea of, the self-reliance and self-sufficiency community and the preppers and so forth and so on. And I said, that's a bridge that a lot of people don't realize is important because, here they are prepping and they're spending thousands of dollars storing up food and medical supplies and weapons, ammunition, and all those kinds of things in the prepper community. The self-reliance folks are out there, trying to build their own farms and make sure that they've got good access to clean food supply and so forth. And yet, a lot of these folks don't recognize that, if you're 350 pounds, which is, 200 pounds overweight, you are literally not going to make it anyway in the event that there was some kind of a calamity or a collapse, because you're going to carry that 5-gallon bucket of water about a quarter of a mile and you're going to keel over from a massive heart attack. And so, the bridge to healthcare is very important. The bridge to politics is the reason why America is terrified. And if you're terrified, that should be telling you something. Your alarm bell, the klaxon in your head, is going off. So anyway, let's talk about the 4 topics we're going to wrap on today. The first is Obamacare, the Better Mousetrap. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in just a moment. That's our first topic this morning. But essentially what we've got is the Obamacare has developed a better mousetrap, and they're utilizing it on you. I'll explain what I mean in just a moment. Our second topic is going to be WebMD. WebMD is a magazine that is considered to be by millions to be a definitive, unbiased source of medical news and information. They've long been held up as one of the best groups out there because they have, for all intents and purposes, a lot of credibility. But word is out that they have accepted literally millions of dollars to pump Obamacare propaganda out to their readers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of those, I talked about this yesterday, this is one of those emblematic examples of self-treason. And it is suicide for that magazine. There's an article in the Washington Times this morning, and I've commented in on it and had some input on it as well. And by the way, when you read stories out there in the mainstream media, I encourage you to participate in the comments on the bottom. It's critically important that you do that, because what it does is it lets people know what, oftentimes you'll find that the comments at the bottom of a story help you in, one, there's links in there sometimes, and depends on, whether they allow links and that kind of thing. But a lot of times it helps you to gather enough information to be able to help make informed decisions. You understand and see how the general consensus in the comments are running. Now, you need to do this on both liberal and conservative biased websites. So regardless of where that story comes from, and it's imperative that you read all of them, by the way, you cannot close your mind if you want to be a critical thinker. The comment section sometimes is more revealing than the actual story itself. And so I encourage you to participate in those. I do all the time, and at least where I can. And I think it's valuable fodder for those who want to think critically. So anyway, WebMD has committed the self-treason of suicide because by their actions, they have completely eliminated any level of credibility that they have with their readership and their viewership. They have websites and a magazine. They have completely and utterly destroyed any level of journalistic integrity and credibility that they've had in the marketplace. And I got to tell you, you're going to see the backlash of this is going to be big. Our third topic, the surveillance police state. Pandora's box, or Pandora's gate to hell on earth. News is out this morning, and I spoke about this yesterday. I broke this story yesterday. I didn't break it. I commented on it. That Seattle, which I talked about with the light poles that are going up that are having monitoring and they're tracking your cell phone and everything else, and they're reading the MAC address off your phone, even when Wi-Fi is not turned on. And I got to tell you, the news out this morning is that they are actually shutting down. Amazingly enough, they are shutting down the program because of the public backlash on this. So I want to talk about that a little bit this morning. I think it's an important aspect, and we want to make sure that we're addressing it and taking a look at the realities of that. And we'll go forward with that topic when we arrive there. But essentially, here's the deal. Government spying is reached an all-time high. America is beginning to awaken to the challenges and the problems, and you need to be aware of what's happening with and what they're doing to you effectively, because doing to you is is a very appropriate statement. And then the final topic this morning is going to be amnesty equals treason. Now, that's a bold statement. And I know a lot of folks are going to take that the wrong way. I don't care. If you don't like what I have to say, you can email me and tell me why. But you better give me good, well-reasoned, logical, rational arguments, not emotional ones. You can email me when you disagree with me and any policy or topic that I talk about, and you can do that by sending me email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. I encourage open discussion, but it has to be logical, it has to be rational. It can't be emotional. Don't tell me that because they're here and they want to bring in their entire family, that's okay. You've got to give me reasons for why. You've got to tell me how this is going to benefit the nation that has sovereign borders. Okay? So anyway, I don't want to gild the lily. Amnesty is treason. Amnesty equals treason. And we're going to talk about exactly why. You'll hear my thoughts on it, and then you can respond. Okay, let's get into our first story because it's a doozy. This morning, it was announced by the California Insurance Commissioner that more than 1 million Californians are going to have their insurance canceled due to the ACA, the Obamacare. And you notice that now, that, by the way, the media is starting to try to get away from the term Obamacare because it's so doggone toxic. You know, anybody who says the word Obamacare, everybody's ears perk up. So what's going on is some of the media, especially the left and progressive slanted media, are trying to redirect the term Obamacare out of the vernacular, and they want to use ACA as an alternative to that. We'll talk a little bit about that as we move forward. But the real issue here is that the Obamacare system and the ACA have built a better mousetrap. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. You see, the concept behind Obamacare is really not health care. The real goal of Obamacare has multiple facets to it. But the primary concepts are that basically it allows the government 100% total access to every individual in the nation. And it gives them undue influence over the free market and free market enterprise because only government can build monopolies and create winners and losers. And so by choosing who you can do business with, and they are doing that, then they are directing the marketplace, funneling, nudging, as Cass Sunstein would say, society from one path to an alternative path that they choose for you. It's a major shift in our relationship with government. And here's the problem. You're tempted by the cheese. We all know what a mousetrap does. And I want you to keep this analogy and this vision in your mind as we move through this story. Essentially, what you've got here is a trap that has been set. And the goal is to ensnare you. And the tool that's being used is, first of all, some of it is the need for food. And in this case, that food would be the need of every American to be involved in the healthcare system. I mean, none of us can go through life and never have contact with the healthcare system. At some point in time, it touches each of us from birth to death. And whether that's as something as small as an occasional visit to the doctor because you're in relatively good health, but you need an antibiotic for something, or whether that's, you slip and fall and you break a bone and you need a cast, or whether it's something major where you need, major medical treatment, you are in an automobile accident, you have cancer, you need surgery, the list just is endless. It's as myriad as our population. The point is that everyone is touched by the healthcare system. So what better way to make sure that you've got a dossier built on every American than to entice them into the mousetrap with the lure of, and in some cases, the coercion of forcing you into a healthcare system that they have control and total access and control over. You see, it's a logical path if you follow it, down the concept of authoritarian or totalitarian thinking. The one thing that all authoritarians need is the ability to control the population. And the best way to control the population is to funnel them. You can funnel them by forcing them down a path that enables you to, at the end of the day, have the ability to reach out and touch them individually. You'll notice when a rancher wants to herd his cattle into a truck, he builds a funnel, and then he chases them forward, and they move forward. They move forward en masse as a group. But as they get to the end of the funnel, and they've got to go single file. And at that point, he's got the opportunity to stop each one and put a tag in their ear, or give them a shot of antibiotic, or give them a shot of hormones, or whatever it is that they're doing with that particular group. They brand them, right? This is the same analogy. It's no different. They've got to funnel you, and this is Cass Sunstein's nudge principle. And I encourage you to look that up. He actually put out a book about it. Cass Sunstein is probably one of the most shadowy characters out there. He believes that by making societal nudges, using the power, the bully pulpit, the coercion, the corruption of government to accomplish that, that government can have access to every individual and drive societal change, drive societal mores, drive morality, mental capacity, every aspect of our society, religious issues, social issues, everything, into a preconceived funnel that government has control over. They own the funnel. As you get shooted through it, and I don't mean shooted as in a gun barrel, I mean shooted as in C-H-U-T-E. As you go into the chute, they have an opportunity to tag you or give you the shot or whatever it is that they need to do. The other area is that as a side benefit or an ancillary benefit, the real issue with Obamacare is that it enables government to not only have access to you on a fairly consistent and routine basis through your medical services, but it also gives them the opportunity now under a forced scenario, a coerced scenario, for them to have you voluntarily provide them with all of the data that they need to build dossiers on you. Now, how do I mean that? Well, you're being coerced to visit a website to sign up. You have to sign up. It's not optional. It's mandatory. It's a mandate. And as a result, when you sign up for this, whether you sign up on paper or whether you sign up online, I mean, you could sign up online if the system worked, but it doesn't. So the simple truth is that you still have to submit all of your information, just like you're submitting to the IRS. So you've now got two systems working tandemly, hand in hand. The IRS has been a honeypot for 100 years for the government to be able to capture information about the citizenry. Now they know all of your legal information, and they have the structure of your business, they have your financial income, and they have all of your names and addresses and social securities and who lives where and all the rest of that. They combine that with census data, and they can build a fairly good profile. But now with the advent of Obamacare and healthcare access, now they have one more added subfolder, if you will, and that is your health record. So now they incorporate your health record into the database that they're building on you, and they've got a very significant one. They also take and capture all the information through the Department of Homeland Security and the massive merger of all state and federal agencies underneath that to incorporate things like your driver's license registration information, all the cars that you own, and everything else that you have. Remember, all of this information is going into vast databases. Now, you know, there are many who out there who will naysay this and say, well, wait a second now. You're really pushing the limits of this, because what you're saying is that, you know, it matters that somebody's got access to all this data. And I am saying you're absolutely correct. It does. What you have to recognize is that at the end of the path, the goal of the mousetrap is to kill the mouse. And I don't mean to physically, literally kill you. I mean to say that the end of this mousetrap is the death of your liberty, your freedom, your independence, your self-reliance, your self-governance, your ability to influence government as to how you want government to interact with you. Your level of independence, as in you are now dependent upon another entitlement program that is inescapable for every American. No longer is Social Security and welfare and Medicaid and Medicare the only method by which government has an access point to you. You see, they want their tentacles to completely surround you like an octopus, envelops the fish. And the best way to make sure that you've got access to every American, especially those who are the most independent financially and in the best health, because you see, you buy your own insurance. And that's a marketplace that's a vast honeypot of information and access and touch points to you. So the best way to get that is to put all of that up underneath the control of government. And the truth of the matter is that Obamacare was a sneak attack. The cheese is out there. Now, some people are led to it by their own greed. Some people are led to it because they're forced to go at cattle probe gunpoint, if you will. They're coerced to go, right? Your old insurance company kicks you off, kills your plan, and now you're forced to go to Obamacare, the website, to sign up. When you do so, you're submitting all of your personal information. Their disclaimers clearly and openly state that that information can be used for, one, distribution amongst anyone that they believe has an appropriate need for it. Well, that's a very, very broad scope. Secondarily, there are a lot of individuals who are not in government. They're consultants and agents and all kinds of ancillary people surrounding, the healthcare bubble, if you will, in which they're going to get access to your private information because government will give it to them because they have a, quote, need to know. These are the people who have alleged clearances and so forth and so on. But you can't tell me that abuses aren't going to happen as a result of that. They will. Thirdly, the government itself is an abuser of your data. You're getting profiled. You see, like Muslims, as an example, had a claim against the idea that you're building profiles based on race or religion or color or creed or sexual orientation or any other issue. They're not profiling single individual groups of ethnic or religious or otherwise. They're building profiles, period, on everyone. This is similar to the concept that, we didn't really free the slaves in the 1860s. We enslaved everyone. We didn't really, I don't want to get into that topic because I'll get sidetracked on it. But the point is simply this. We can talk about that another day. And if you have questions about that, send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. I'll try to the best of my ability to answer them. It's a complex topic, but I'll be more than happy to tackle it with you. What you have to realize is that as these millions upon millions upon millions of Americans are being canceled from their policy, they're being funneled, they're being forced and coerced and driven to the mousetrap. By the way, for the record, when you submit all of this information, the disclaimers say, 1, your information can be shared. 2, it can be used for the purposes of audit. Whoops. 3, because they want to block fraud, right? Except the problem is that there's far more fraud on their side of the fence than there is on the civilian side of the fence that is being subjected to this. But anyway, I digress. The third is that you're doing this and you're stating all of this under the rules of perjury, right? To the best of my ability, the information I supply, and blah, 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 blah. And it also says that this information can be used by law enforcement for prosecution, which I would classify as persecution. So let's analyze this for a moment. You submit all this data as required because you don't have an alternative. Now, you're being forced to waive your Fourth Amendment right to privacy, to the privacy of your health records themselves, to the privacy that you have in your person, your place, your effects. Remember the Fourth Amendment. And there's no probable cause. you're being forced to do this by another law that overrides or overwrites natural law, the natural law of your Fourth Amendment right to privacy. Worse yet, you're being forced to waive your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, which is an age-old right that precedes the Declaration of Independence, precedes the Constitution, precedes the Magna Carta. It goes all the way back to the birth of man, because that's a natural creator, natural law right that you have, the right to not self-incriminate. And yet you're being told right up front that this information can be used against you. And so, like a police officer who says to you, anything you say can and will be used against you in court, you have the right to remain silent. You don't have that right anymore. Your Fifth Amendment is you're being forced to waive your Fifth Amendment rights. Think about that for a moment and understand the implications of it. Don't just dismiss this whole argument out of hand. Make sure that you are recognizing the importance of that system and what that move creates. The unintended consequences of this are staggering. Because now all of your information is subject to review. And by the way, that the government cannot get on you because of constitutional limitations, organizations are selling to the government. They're buying it. So remember, the goal here is ultimately to kill liberty, freedom, independence, self-reliance. And that, ladies and gentlemen, makes us a dependent society upon the monster of government. Once we are dependent upon government for our health care, 47 million of us for our food, right? That's the new number of people that are on food stamps. How many of our veterans are dependent upon the Veterans Administration because that's the only place that they can go to get medical treatment? We're talking about now the whole population will be forced to deal with the government in some way, shape, or form on their health care, just like you are forced to deal with the government on the IRS. So ultimately, everyone this way through health care is forced to go by and hit the touchstone of government, right? That's the goal. Once that has been achieved, it's easy to take that information and compartmentalize it down, find out anyone who rises up as a potential enemy and utterly destroy them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the mousetrap snaps shut. The Obama system has figured out a way to build the ultimate mousetrap that no mouse can escape. Think about it. Go back and re-listen to this segment again. Make yourself some notes. Write down a couple of bullet points. Then ruminate on that for a little while. Tell me that this does not resonate as the ultimate killing machine of freedom, liberty, independence, self-determination, and self-governance in America. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk about how WebMD has committed suicide. It is the ultimate in self-treason, and they have accomplished that. They've accomplished that by essentially participating and working with the government in Obamacare's endorsement. See, essentially what's happened is now the news is out, and it broke this morning, that WebMD has accepted millions of dollars to endorse, support, and propel Obamacare forward with articles, reviews, videos they've made, a lot of information that's really going to shock a lot of folks, because WebMD was one of the bastions of credibility out there in the medical community for the average citizen and doctors and the medical community itself. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk more about that. Stick with us. You're listening to America's Voice Now. You can find us by visiting our website at americasvoicenow.org. You can find our Facebook page. Please like that page, because once you do that, our posts show up on your feed, and that shares it with your circle of influence. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is all about circles of influence. You can also find every show that we do live on, or that we do recorded on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/America's Voice Now, facebook.com/America's Voice Now. And then we have a brand new podcasting service available to you at Spreaker.com. That's like speaker with an R, Spreaker.com/America's Voice Now. You can download the episode from there and listen to it at your leisure. We'll be back in just a moment. Stick with us.